Hey, what's up? Welcome back to the Mandatory. If you've been rocking with the show, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. If you haven't already, please do. It helps the channel grow. Also, you can find us on the audio side as well. So, wherever you find your podcast, we are there. You can also leave a rate and review. We would appreciate it. Leave us a 5-star and follow us on our social media channels. We're at the Mandatory TKO. We're on Twitter, Instagram, everything. So, make sure you give us a follow there. And thank you to everyone that's been rocking with us. So we've got a very, very big fight that's coming up this weekend. Probably, I wouldn't say the last one of the year because there's some big heavyweight fights coming up. Inoue's fighting again before the end of the year. But this one I feel like is pretty massive because 140, Bryan, is wide open. Right. So I'm talking about Devin Haney and Regis Prograis. And this is going to be a great fight. But before we get into all the betting, we have to talk about what happens next if one of these guys ends up winning. So let's start off by talking about none other than Devin Haney. He's moving up a weight class to fight at 140. He vacated his titles, and now he's going to be fighting Regis Prograis at 140 pounds in the Bay Area. Bryan, my question to you is, what happens if Devin Haney beats Regis Prograis?
Well, it's interesting because Devin Haney is an undisputed lightweight champion, moved up to 140, which we all kind of thought. I mean, he looked pretty big even in the Vasily Lomachenko fight. And he looks like somebody who I think is going to get to 147 after a stay at 140. I don't think he's going to be long for even 140 because there's some potential for him at 147. However, the power comes into question, which we'll get into. And I think if he does win, how depending on how is really what I'll be looking toward, because I don't think he wins by stopping Regis Prograis. I think he wins by outboxing him. I think he wins tactically. He's won something like 7 straight fights by decision. His last knockout was a little over 4 years ago, actually. It was pre-COVID. It was a little over 4 years ago. And I don't think all of a sudden he's going to move up to a weight class and then walk down and finish Regis Prograis, who has never been dropped before in his career, who's never been stopped, obviously, before in his career. And you could argue should be undefeated because there was that fight against Josh Taylor where, Josh Taylor got a favorable decision. I think if you run that back, Regis Prograis might even be the slight betting favorite. I think he'd be the betting favorite, especially after Josh Taylor's performance against Teofimo Lopez. But if Devin Haney wins, this is one of the best wins on his resume for sure. I may even argue that it's the best win on his resume, save for Vasily Lomachenko in terms of name, in terms of overall skill level. I think those would be the best two guys, but Regis is much bigger than Lomachenko and is a natural 140, whereas Lomachenko was fighting a couple weight classes above where he first debuted. So I think this would cement Devin Haney, and as far as all your pound for pound lists, it automatically could make him the best at 140, depending on how you look at him and Teofimo Lopez. But I think right now, the 140 class to me is Regis Prograis, Teofimo Lopez in whatever order. And where Regis Prograis is will, depend on this performance. But if Devin Haney wins and wins convincingly, you're going to have a strong case for him being number one. And at the very least, you're going to have the strong case for wanting to see him fight Teofimo Lopez next. Now, I don't know if that's going to happen, but that'll be the fight to make after this.
Yeah, I think if Devin Haney beats Regis Prograis, it's pretty interesting because obviously coming up, he was undisputed at lightweight, but he really wasn't given that respect because, as you know, at one point, Teofimo Lopez was saying that he was an email champion. And if you know what that means, it's happened recently with Jaron Ennis as well. You could say that he's an email champ, but nonetheless, Devin Haney, he dominated, I believe, in the lightweight division. And despite whether you're a fan of him or not, the way that he fights, I think this fight is really important for him because I don't think he gets the respect that he deserves, especially after the Lomachenko fight. because a lot of people thought he lost that fight. That was a controversial fight, whether you thought he won it or not. I thought Devin Haney did enough to win it, but that was a fight where a lot of people felt that Loma won. So a lot of people do not like Devin Haney, and that's not a surprise. But if he goes into this weight class at 140 pounds, arguably the most interesting weight class, and dominates against Regis Prograis, some people were keeping him off the pound for pound list when he was undisputed at lightweight, keeping him off the top 5, which I thought was disrespectful because that's a very, very entertaining division. If he goes into 140, this division, and dominates against a guy like Regis Prograis, who's been in that division, who is proven in that division, I think everyone just has to shut up and say that Devin Haney is that guy, because other people are coming in, walking, and being like, you know what, Shakur beats him easily. I don't think so. I really don't think that happens. Devin Haney is that good. So I think if he beats Regis Prograis, this just solidifies his star more. And sure, some people don't like his fight style because they could say it's a little bit boring. Some people might also say that he has pillow fists. But we're going to see what happens in this fight at 140. And I just think he becomes a bigger superstar if he beats Regis Prograis. And then we possibly could get a fight with him and Teofimo Lopez, which would be absolutely massive because these two guys have been going at it for years now. So I think there's a lot of potential for Devin Haney to not only become a bigger face in the sport, because I would say some casual fans are still learning about him. They're not actually the biggest Devin Haney fans. They're still learning about him. Obviously, there's the superstars like Canelo and Bud. Spence is a superstar. I don't think Devin Haney's there yet, but he should be. So I think if he goes and wins this fight convincingly, I think that grows his star, but then he gets bigger fights, massive fights, makes a lot of money. So if anything, this is a win situation for a guy like Devin Haney, but he has to get it done against Regis Prograis. I don't even think he has to convincingly beat him. I think if he just goes in and beats Regis Prograis, that's impressive enough, because obviously I'm very high on a guy like Regis Prograis. You're muted. There you go. Can hear you now.
Yeah, Restream is doing some weird shit behind the scenes in terms of like the production. Like they added some shit that I don't like, so we'll talk about that after. But anyway, the interesting thing about this is both guys are coming off of underwhelming victories where Regis Prograis won a split decision against Danielito Zorrilla, a fight that some people thought Zorrilla should have won. I disagree, but I do think it was closer than some scorecards and two of the scorecards suggested. And Devin Haney was playing with fire in the Vasily Lomachenko fight. Nailed the prediction. However, there are a lot of people that thought Lomachenko should have won that fight. We disagree. We do have some comments before we get into what if Regis Prograis wins this, but we do have some people showing up. Anthony Beck says, what's good? Shout out to you, Anthony. Thank you for checking in. IMPK contributes, if Haney wins, he fights the winner of Rolly Romero and Ryan Garcia. Now, we don't know if that fight's going to be made. We don't know if that fight's going to be made.
And let's be serious. Like, Ryan's going to win that fight. And Haney and Ryan Garcia have been going at it for a really long time, too. So that could be another massive fight. But I think the bigger fight to make would be Haney and Teofimo Lopez. That would be the fight I'd rather see, to be honest with you.
Or Haney and Shakur, but I don't think Shakur Stevenson is going to move up to 140 anytime soon. I also think that Haney and Shakur could be a fight where we all lose, because I'm not sure how interesting that's going to be in the ring for a large amount of people. But I'd watch the fight. Obviously, it could be tactically, it could be beautiful, or it could be very, very, very underwhelming in terms of action for a lot of people. That guy Trouble says, what's up, family? Finally caught alive. And also follows up, Haney is ready for 147. I was alluding to that earlier, and I would agree. I think he's going to be there. I still think he's too big, even for 140. I think a lot of people are waiting on Boots to move up to 154 before they make the move at 147. I do think Boots is going to be 154 at some point, but not yet. He still has, I think, at least a couple of years at welterweight, at least. I hope so.
I think Devin Haney has a couple of years at 142. Like, I don't think he makes that move right away, just because I think Devin Haney, his mindset, he probably wants to be undisputed at 140. He did it at 135. He wants to make those fights. Like, I think we also have to give Devin Haney props for taking this fight against Regis Prograis. He could have fought somebody else at 140 and had a tune-up, but he didn't. So I think we got to give him some props. Not afraid to fight a guy like Regis, which brings us to the next question, Bryan. Regis Prograis coming off a unimpressive win over your fellow Puerto Rican,
Yeah.
Danielito Zorrilla. That was a fight where going into it, I thought he was going to knock out, get the TKO victory against Zorrilla because Zorrilla gasses out, but Zorrilla actually fought really decent. And that was a fight also Zorrilla took on short notice. So there's also that thing that comes into play. So Regis kind of underperformed, but he's still been that dude at 140 pounds. So my question to you is, if Regis Prograis beats Devin Haney, what's next for him?
I think this is the most interesting thing. Like, to me, Regis winning is more interesting because now it's like, okay, Devin Haney has a loss. Regis Prograis beats a guy who was undisputed at 135, who was ascending, who was significantly younger. You don't always see that. You don't always see the older guy beat somebody who's 10 or so years younger in a title fight. That doesn't often happen. Especially when the younger guy is ascending and getting to his prime. That typically, Trinidad Vargas, a lot of times, even though they didn't have as big of an age gap, that usually goes the other way, where you would expect the younger guy to come out and win. It's not a hard and fast rule, though. And I think Regis Prograis winning leads to some interesting possibilities because he's talked to us even about wanting big fights. Does that open up the door for a Teofimo Lopez fight that he called for at one point? Does it open up the door for him to fight Ryan Garcia? Because I feel like Regis, in a lot of respects, is just put in the driver's seat if he wins this fight. Also, because if he wins this fight, I think he has to win this fight by knockout because I don't think he's going to win a lot of rounds or enough rounds versus Devin Haney's style, where Devin Haney's not going to look to mix it up and be counterpunching. So I think that if Regis wins, it's going to be by a stoppage. And if that's the case, then whatever fight he has after that, it's going to be huge. It's going to be something that's heavily promoted, whether it's a welcome home fight at New Orleans before getting into a bigger fight later in the year, or he goes right to maybe Ryan Garcia or somebody like that on the DAZN side of things. Maybe it's an Arnold Barboza, which respectfully, I don't think it's as big as Ryan Garcia, but that would be, I think, a big fight in terms of like for boxing, for the sport, for the 140-pound division. But I think Regis can get pretty much any fight he wants after if he beats Devin Haney, because I think if he beats Devin Haney, he's going to stop him.
Okay, so for Regis Prograis, I'm very, very high on Regis Prograis, and I believe he is arguably the best 140 pounder because I do believe that fight with Josh Taylor, I would have gave the nod actually to Regis Prograis in that fight. However, if he beats Devin Haney, Regis Prograis is going to be that dude. People are going to start giving him respect. What is his best win? I think it would be Zepeda. I think that is Regis Prograis' best win. So now he's fighting a dude that has made a very big name for himself. Devin Haney, undisputed at 135 pounds, is moving up in a weight class. If Regis Prograis, and I do agree with Bryan in this, I don't think the judges are going to be giving Regis Prograis a lot of rounds. And we know how skilled Devin Haney is. He's going to be working that jab. Classic jab of Devin Haney, one of the best jabs in the sport. And it's going to be hard for Regis to win a lot of those rounds because we know how good Devin Haney is. But Regis has got the power that Devin Haney has never seen before. Devin Haney has never faced a guy like Regis Prograis with this power. And I do believe if Regis Prograis wins, it's going to be by knockout or TKO. It has to be. And if he does that to Devin Haney, who's been hit before, and we're going to get into all of that when we get into the betting portion, Regis' star is crazy. He's that dude now. He's even bigger than he ever was, and he deserves it. Because the biggest thing about Regis Prograis, why he's not a household name, is because the way he's been promoted. It's been some not the best decisions, to be honest with you, and he hasn't been promoted the best, right? And so that's why when you say a guy like Regis Prograis to a casual fan, he's not as known as a Teofimo Lopez. And it's a shame because Regis is that good. And so I believe he becomes an instant superstar because Regis also is wavy. Like, I've been watching a lot of the DAZN stuff, the preview stuff for Devin Haney and Regis Prograis. And don't get it twisted, like, Devin Haney's a cool kid. But Regis is just so much more wavy than Devin, and he's so much more relatable and cool. And I don't know, it's because me and Regis are like the same age. And so I relate to him way more. Like, even the way he dresses at the press conference, I was like, yeah, he looks wavy. You know what I mean? And he's a real dude. We've had him on the show before. Super humble. Go check out that interview that we did with Regis. He's just a nice dude. It's hard to not root against him. And I remember I was watching, their face off, and Chris Mannix was hosting it. And Devin Haney was like, you're like 10 years older than me. And like, I've done more, but Regis started boxing when Haney became a pro. He hasn't been boxing for a long time.
Regis said that, and Devin Haney's like, yo, you're 10 years older than me. And Regis like, and we're right here. I'm right in front of you. Like, we're in the same spot.
It's so stupid. And then also, the best part was just like, who have you knocked out? And Devin laughed because, like, who has he knocked out? Right? And
he didn't even knock out Yuriorkis Gamboa.
Dude,
red flag for me.
And that's when, listen, later down the line, Gamboa wasn't the same guy, Gamboa. You know what I mean? Devin should have knocked him out, but that's when that narrative of pillow fist come out. And so what's the most annoying thing is Devin is a big dude, though. Like, even in that interview, I was like, Devin's huge, dude. And he was like, I'm going to knock you out. You're not knocking out anybody. Like, stop it. I understand why he's doing it, but I also believe that a lot of people don't like Devin because it like doesn't come off as genuine when he talks like that. I think he's probably just a nice kid. He seems like a nice guy. Like, when I look at him, like I get it, but it's just like he seems like a nice guy. So he shouldn't talk like that. And it's funny. Like, I'm watching their face off, and I'm just like, they would probably be friends. Like, they look like the way
they're gonna have, like, you could kind of go into a fight and be like, oh, they're gonna have mad respect for each other after it's done.
They are. And Regis is such a good dude. He's such a good dude that he's gonna shake his hand and be gracious after the fight, right? Like, if you haven't seen that mandatory interview with Regis Prograis, please go check it out. He gave us a lot of time. He actually gave us time twice because we had technical difficulties the first time, and he like showed up the next day to do the interview or whatever it was. He's just a nice dude. Let's get to some comments. I'm PK13, friend of the show. We always appreciate you. I'm PK13. If Prograis wins, the world is his oyster. He could fight any 140-pound champions or Garcia for a big payday. That's true. Ryan Garcia is going to bring in the money, and Regis deserves that payday. I would advise him to stay away from Tank, though. Okay, so he was on our show.
You should mention that.
He was on our show, and he said he wanted a fight with Tank. And Tank hasn't fought at 140 since Mario Barrios. And I don't know why he doesn't want to go back to 140. He said he didn't feel comfortable at 140. But that would be a fight that I would want to see. I would want to see a lot of people against Tank, though. I think Tank is the best at 135.
I don't know what Tank's next move is, because looking around the landscape at 135, damn, IMPK.
No. This is what Haney said. Haney said because Regis was like, you ain't even ever been in like a street fight before.
I do remember
or anything like in high school.
And then they were talking about how Haney boxed in Mexico and he was 17 years old or whatever. And yeah, I mean, look, I think Nas dropped out of school at like 13 also, maybe even earlier, but Nas real illmatic. So,
yeah, I mean, it's totally different. You know what I mean? But Haney's very successful. Anthony Beck, my boy, says, I need to see consistency from Haney. He needs to stay far the hell away from Tank Davis, though.
Can we actually unpack this for a second? Because the concerns that I would have for Devin Haney in a Gervonta Davis fight, I feel like those can manifest itself in Regis Prograis, who is, I would say, not the same as Tank, but poses some of the same problems. Hard-hitting southpaw, smarter than he may appear inside the ring. Like, he's not somebody who's just going to bulldoze you. He's kind of a thinking man's fighter as well.
Yeah.
Didn't display itself in the Danielito Zorrilla fight, but Regis Prograis is a smart-ass fighter. And he has elite finishing ability, like Gervonta Davis does. He's finished most of his opponents. So I wonder if Devin Haney struggles but still beats Regis Prograis, there's probably going to be enough there for a Tank blueprint if they were to fight. But I don't really see Haney and Tank happening. I I think that's an interesting point from Anthony where like it leads me to believe Regis Prograis can cause some of the concerns you would have for Devin Haney in a potential Tank fight. And especially if Regis Prograis just straight up wins the fight by knockout, then you're going to be like, yeah, he's not fighting Tank.
You know what's crazy is that in that face-off with Chris Mannix that DAZN did with Haney and Prograis, the one thing that Haney says was, "You ain't got no skill." I do believe Regis has skill. Like, he's not as skilled as Haney, but to say he has no skill is so disrespectful. So I think Regis is going to take that personally, obviously, because we know how OG is. But
You know
I
why
just
he thinks
feel
that
like it's
too?
underrated. But it's underrated. Like, Regis is such an underrated fighter that for Devin to say that, it's crazy. Why do you think he says that? Just because of like,
Regis is an old school type of fighter, right? Like you can tell by watching Regis fight. He studied dudes from the 80s and 90s
yeah.
and shit. Like we asked him and Roberto Duran is like his guy. You know what I mean? Like that's one of the guys he studied. Haney, you could tell by watching him. He studied Floyd Mayweather above all else. And like older Floyd Mayweather, not young Floyd Mayweather who used to mix it up a lot.
Not pretty boy, not
A
pretty
lot of
boy.
these younger dudes coming up, they studied Money Mayweather, post first, second retirement, whatever. Not Pretty Boy Floyd, who was piecing up like Diego Corrales and Arturo Gatti, which are like his two best
Okay, like
performances.
the
probably.
Arturo Gotti wasn't the same Gotti though. Like I hate
No,
when
I
people bring
know
that up.
that,
That gets me so mad. Like, please
but that's
stop
like
bringing that one up.
that's like Floyd Mayweather's cleanest performance.
I know, but
You know-
Gotti wasn't Gotti, so just stop it. I hate it when people do that, and I'm a Floyd fan, but I just hate it when people bring that up. That
Do
was
you
a
hate
tough
it
one.
because Arturo Gotti's Canadian?
Well, obviously, I gotta support the Canadians. You know what I mean? No, I just hate it because he just wasn't that same dude. And it's like, well, what do you expect Floyd to do to him? Like, what did we expect to happen? Right. So it's just like one of those fights where I'm like, it was hard. It was tough to watch. I remember watching
It's
that
one
fight
of
and
the
being
top
like,
five. It's one of the top five.
let's go to
games.
Ace 3117. Sorry, 317 Ace. I apologize. I gave you an extra one. No way Tank fighting Haney at 140. It would have to be at 135 if it were to happen. To bounce off this, I don't think we get Tank and Haney at 140. And I don't think we get Tank and Haney. I think we're more likely to get Tank and Shakur.
I think Tank and Haney is more interesting at 140 than 135 because Haney's already moved up and it's going to be harder for him to come back
Tank's
down.
not going to move up. Tank's not going to do 140.
Yeah, but I don't think this fight's happening. But in a hypothetical sense, I think it's a more interesting fight at 140 than it is.
And if I'm Haney, I'm not moving back down. Like if I'm Haney, I am not doing any of the Ryan Garcia contractual agreements. No. Like I'm not doing any of that.
He was undisputed at lightweight. He don't got to go back down.
Exactly. So because Devin Haney is that dude. He's Devin Haney. So I don't think he has to, check off everything that Tank wants because Tank is that dude too. I just don't see that fight ever happening. I do see it happening for Tank and Shakur though. And that's a fight where I could see it happening.
I don't know if I see that right now.
Not right now, but I mean, that's the fight I would want to see.
And I hope so, but I don't like I'm skeptical anybody's going to fight anybody until it actually happens in this sport because you kind of have to be that way.
The young guys are fighting dudes though. I think
Are they?
Yeah, they are. Like we're getting Regis and Devin. Like we're literally doing a whole show on Regis and Devin Haney right now.
No, but like, all right. So Tank gives us the Ryan Garcia fight, and it's like we haven't heard from him in 8 months. And is he gonna just fight Isaac Cruz again? Like I don't know what.
But I think Tank's to that level.
Is he gonna fight Frank Martin?
But I think Tank's at that level, and don't get it twisted. Like I like it when guys are busy, right? But I think at the same time we see a lot of guys in boxing that fight once a year. Right. We had Cody Crowley on the show. I'm just like, just saying like our interviews right now. And he's talking about how dudes go check out that interview as well. Canadian dude. He was telling us how like dudes fight once a year now. Like a lot of guys aren't active. And so, but at the same time, respectfully, I think Tank has earned the right to maybe fight once a year if he wants to. I don't think that that's his thing, but he also wants to enjoy life. Right. So I think it's one of those things. I think he should fight at least 2 times a year, but
I think everybody should fight twice a year if you're a champion. Let's get to one more comment, then we can get to our predictions because we still got to do that. IMPK says, "Do y'all believe the claim that Tank knocked out Haney in a sparring session when Haney was 17?" ?
Yes, I do. I believe Tank will knock out anybody. So
I don't know.
I do believe that claim, yo. I don't know if he like knocked him out, but I'm sure he like
He rocked him,
he definitely
staggered him.
rocked
I don't
him, yo.
believe anybody anything they say in this fucking sport. All right, let's get to Money Be Green because we got some predictions to make.
Yeah, and by the way, if you're gonna be making a bet on this fight, please drop your slips. Let us know. Let us know how you're gonna be betting as we get into this segment.
Like money, motherfucker? Money be green. Money feel like money. That shit look green to you?
All right, it's time for the odds. Money Be Green, Regis Prograis, straight up on the money line, is a plus 300, and Devin Haney is a minus 400. Before you get into the entire breakdown and how you're going to be betting, Bryan, is this line reasonable? Is it fair, or is Regis getting disrespected?
A lot of people must have been betting on Devin Haney because it was not this wide some weeks ago. But I always felt like it was going to land here because I think what people are having trouble with, one, maybe the casual better, because the boxing market is not as sharp as like the NFL or the NBA, for example. And I've been getting rocked by the NBA this year. Fucking stupid ass Julius Randle winning my Jalen Brunson prop last night. But we have Regis Prograis being a big underdog plus 300. Not big in boxing terms, but I think a lot of people just trust Devin Haney more of a name. And there's an easier pathway to seeing a Devin Haney victory because he can win on points, because he beat Lomachenko. And I think people are just doing the math of if he got the decision over Lomachenko, if he beat, Jorge Linares, like whatever, they're probably just looking at it that way. I think Devin Haney is a little bit too much of a favorite because I think Regis Prograis has a real chance, but this is something that Regis Prograis is going to have to overcome. Is he going to be able to just figure out how to make this into a fight? Because my biggest thing with this is I think this fight could flop very easily. Like Shakur Stevenson just beat Edwin De Los Santos in a fight that was awful. And I think if Regis Prograis has some struggles with cutting off the ring as he did against Danielito Zorrilla, if he just follows him around and is not able to make this ugly, make this a brawl, be the bully, and really put forth his strength in this fight, then I think this is going to be boring. And I think Devin Haney is just going to counter from a safe distance and just bank rounds and land like 5 punches, 6 punches around, if that, most of them being jabs and some body shots, as he did against Vasily Lomachenko. Like, I think there's a pathway for this being a boring ass fight. But if Regis Prograis is going to make this an inside fight and beat a bully and like rough him up, make it a brawl a little bit, and is able to successfully sort of corner him, walk him down, cut off the ring, that in particular, if he's able to do those things, then I think this fight could be a good fight, interesting fight, and one that could deliver.
So are you going to make your pick?
Okay.
That would be the next that would be the next step, Bryan. But
no,
yeah,
you asked me a question, so I answered the question first. I thought I was gonna do that. You were gonna respond and just throw it, whatever.
No, I'll respond. I'll respond in my bet. I do think if we're talking about the line, if you want me to respond right now, I think it's extremely disrespectful.
Yeah.
This is probably the most disrespectful line I've seen all year, to have Regis Prograis, who is a champion, who is proven at 140 pounds, to be a plus 300. That is absolutely ridiculous. And I'm looking at this line thinking people don't know boxing if they are sleeping on Regis Prograis like this, but it's a favorable line if you want to roll with a guy like Regis. IMPK13 said people are betting that Haney will get on his bike and pot shot Prograis for 12 rounds, and Prograis will be too slow-footed to catch him.
Exactly. That's exactly it.
That's true. That's true. But I still think that to be a plus 300 and you're a champ at 140 pounds and you've been proven, and Haney's coming up in weight, disrespectful. So tell me how you're betting this one.
Look, I'm actually placing multiple bets for this fight. I'm placing 2 bets. So I am hedging a little bit, but the safest bet is obviously Devin Haney by decision.
No one likes to hedge better.
The safest bet, fuck them. The safest bet is you're probably right, but fuck them.
I'm one of those people. No one likes to hedge better.
The safest bet is Devin Haney on points, and betting that Regis Prograis is not going to be able to close the distance because, as IMPK just commented, Devin Haney will probably look to box for 12 rounds and just be on his bike and just land from a safe distance. He has a 4-inch reach advantage that he can utilize in this fight. Hooks to the body, jabs to the head, straight right hands, obviously, because Regis Prograis is a southpaw. And I think he's going to lean on that, win, I don't know, 8, 9 of the 12 rounds. And there's a reason that Devin Haney on points is minus 225. It is not great value there. So I suggest if you do play that, don't do it straight up. Do it in a parlay that you trust. Round robin it in the event that Regis Prograis wins. But I think the other bet to make is Regis Prograis winning by knockout or by TKO between rounds 9 and 12, because I think if Regis wins, it has to be by knockout. I also think if he wins, it's going to be late. I think it's, he's actually figuring some things out. He's cutting off the ring effectively. He's made it a brawl inside, and he's able to break down Devin Haney in those late rounds. So Regis Prograis to win by knockout, you could get it at some impressive value for this. Rounds 7 through 12 is plus 1,100. Rounds 9 through 12 is plus 1,800 right now, depending on where you look. I also saw it at 1,600. You can get some crazy good odds on Regis Prograis winning by knockout if you don't think Devin Haney could withstand that power for 12 rounds. Remember, Jorge Linares did catch him at one point. Regis Prograis is stronger than Jorge Linares, but that was just one shot. Can he sort of mount up the punishment on Devin Haney over the course of the fight? Could he find Devin Haney early? These are the questions I have. So Devin Haney by decision to me is a safe bet, but it's not great value. So as a result, you could look at Regis Prograis winning by knockout late.
Yeah, and I think the safe bet is obviously to go Devin Haney by decision at minus 225. Not the best value there, not the sexiest pick, but this also might not be a sexy fight if Devin Haney makes it a boring fight, which he could possibly do. And that's what Devin Haney does. He's so good defensively. We talk about that shoulder roll. It's so memorable of a guy like Money Mayweather, and he's going to use it in this fight. But also Devin's really skilled, and the one thing that he's going to establish right away is the jab. Because like I mentioned, Devin arguably has one of the best jabs in boxing, if not the best jab, however you want to look at it. He's going to put on a beautiful performance. He's going to get to the body. He's going to use his length. He's going to know how to use the distance against a guy like Regis Prograis, because we know that Devin is going to outbox Regis because there's nothing else he can do. It's not like Regis is going to come up to 140 and all of a sudden have all this crazy power. Sorry, I mean Devin Haney. It's not like Devin Haney is going to come up to this division and have all this crazy power. Maybe, because remember, Bud grew into his power. I just don't see Haney being that dude, and he doesn't have to be. I've never been a fan of boxing where I need to see power. Like Devin Haney puts on beautiful performances, and we know that he's going to show off his skill and just pretty much win every round against Regis. I do see it possibly going that way. However, Regis Prograis, I think a lot of people are sleeping on his skill. I also think that he kind of reels in his opponents. He's very tactical. He does have power, and Devin Haney has not seen this power before. If Regis Prograis fights like how he did against Zorrilla, this fight's going to be boring, and it's going to be pretty much win every round for a guy like Devin Haney. But I don't think Regis is going to fight like that, and he can't. And you know why? Because there's an actual blueprint that Lomachenko left that shows you, hey, this is how you can fight against a guy like Devin Haney and make it a very, very close fight. You also go back to that Linares fight. You go back to that Jojo Diaz fight that Devin Haney had. Jojo Diaz also was able to give Devin Haney not a lot of problems, but a few problems. The blueprints are there. And Bryan, I know you want to say something, but I'm going to make my pick and then you can get on.
No, I wanted to actually ask you about, like, what are the things, like, elaborate on that. One of the things that Lomachenko did that you feel like Regis Prograis could actually maximize in this fight?
Well, I think Loma's movement, like I think the way that Regis, a lot of people are saying that he's a little bit slow-footed, but he also was trying to bang with Devin on the inside a little bit. And Devin doesn't like to bang on the inside. He likes to fight you at a distance. And that's the only way that Regis can really win this fight, is if he kind of makes it a brawl. Because he's not going to outbox Devin. We know that. But he does have skill. And I think that people are actually sleeping on Prograis' skill a lot, because I think he could really make this a tough fight for Devin. Devin's never seen a boxer like him. And what I'm talking about, he reels you in and then he'll land a big one on you. And he is a very, very tricky southpaw. And listen, Devin, couple of problems against Linares, couple of problems against Jojo Diaz, and a lot of problems against a guy like Lomachenko. If you take any of those things, and we know that Regis, he studies a lot. Like, he really, really studies a lot. You know, he's watching those tapes, and he's going to bring that into his arsenal against a guy like Devin Haney. I think what's going to happen in this fight is I think Devin right away is going to establish the jab. And I think the biggest thing will be, can Regis make adjustments in this fight? We know Haney can make adjustments. We've seen him do it. But I think Devin Haney's going to come out. He's going to use his distance. He's going to use the distance, right? He's going to try to keep Regis Prograis a little bit far away. He's going to use the jab. He's going to get to the body. And Regis Prograis the whole time is going to be trying to close the distance and try to bang with him on the inside, try to make this a brawl, and obviously land a big one on him. We know that he has power. I do think Regis is going to be able to land on him. And I think he's going to be able to land on him more than once. And it's not even about Haney withstanding power, because I think Haney can take a punch. Never seen a punch like Regis, though. I just think I kind of think Haney might get dropped in this fight. And I think that Regis Prograis could get a stoppage in this fight. I know how good Devin Haney is, but also coming up, and we always hear this from boxers, coming up from one weight class is huge. This is Regis's weight class. He's proven in this weight class. Devin Haney hasn't proven anything in this weight class. So for me, I'm actually going to roll with Regis Prograis to win by KO, TKO. Lots of value, obviously, because not a lot of people are riding with Regis. This is not a safe bet. I don't make safe bets. It's a plus 630, and there's tons of value there. I might drop a $100 bill on this because that's how much I believe in Regis. And I think that this is Devin Haney's. Loma is a pretty tough fight. But, I mean, to move up a weight class and fight a guy like Regis Prograis is a little bit tougher, I feel like, because there's the power aspect. You know, Loma, that's not his natural weight class. This is Regis's natural weight class. And you're coming up, and a lot of people say you have pillow fists. You're going to be jabbing all day. It's not going to do anything to Regis Prograis. Like, for people that think that Devin Haney's going to stop, that's not going to happen. I know I said Canelo would stop John Ryder, and I was wrong about that.
Well, no, Canelo should have stopped John Ryder. That's not your fault.
Okay, yeah, I know. Like, you know
that tiny ass, that tiny ass ring, he should have stopped John Ryder, but he didn't.
And I know that that is a very, very tough bet to make. And I'm not saying that Haney isn't going to be up by a ton of rounds. He probably is. But I think Regis is good enough. He's tactical enough, and he's skilled enough where people are actually saying, yo, where is Regis' skill? I think Regis is going to cause Devin Haney some problems. I think he is arguably the best 140-pounder, 1A, 1B, him and Teofimo Lopez. I think Regis gets it done. So that's my pick, and that's a lot of value there. Let's get to the comments nerd. Prograis doesn't have one-punch power. He's more of a, yeah, it's true. His power comes along. You're right, but I do think he's going to be able to land on Haney more than once. He doesn't have devastating power like Tank Davis, but listen, if you take a look at what Linares did, if you take a look at what Jojo Diaz did, Lomachenko had Devin's face looking funny.
Do you think Regis Prograis has that level of speed that Lomachenko did? Because it looked like the speed also surprised Devin Haney at times and bothered him. Do you think Regis Prograis could land like that? Or is it just going to have to be more like he picks his spots to land power shots instead of just going straight speed at him because he doesn't have the quickness Lomachenko does, who's naturally, you know, like a featherweight?
Okay, so Loma's speed is like uncomparable, right? It's unfair to even like make that comparison. I would never make that comparison. I don't think Regis has that speed, but I do think like Regis like reels in his opponents, right? Like he's a tricky southpaw. So I think at the same time, like Regis is one of those guys that's like willing to get hit to hurt someone, right? To land that big one. So he's going to put himself in positions to make it a brawl. He's going to close the gap. And he's going to be able to land on Devin Haney, who's had an issue with southpaws. He's had a problem with southpaws before, as good as he is.
Regis feints, and in an awkward, herky-jerky, old-school style way. That I think if he really feints a good deal, he'll get Devin Haney's reflexes going and open him up for some shots. Before we get out of here, drop some comments, guys. Predictions. Who do you think is going to win? What bets you're looking at? We'll go for a couple more minutes here, but I want to read some comments before we get out of here and leave this up on YouTube, maybe post a couple clips from it. But yeah, I think this is an interesting fight. I just hope that it's an interesting fight in the ring, because I think Devin Haney could very easily, not easily, but it could, there's an easy pathway to seeing this being a boring fight if Regis Prograis can't figure some things out. But I believe in his ability that he can figure some things out. I'm literally, like what I said, I'm taking both bets. Like, the safe bet is to have Devin Haney win by decision,
lame.
put it
Okay,
a
anyways.
parlay, whatever. It
No,
doesn't
no,
matter. It doesn't matter if it's lame or not. But it's like,
It's lame.
if you're gonna
Hashtag.
give, if you're
I'm
gonna
just giving
give
you a
me,
hard time. I'm just giving you a hard time. But yeah, you're pretty much
if you're
saying
gonna
that
give
Haney
me
is
Regis,
a safe bet. You're saying Haney is a safe bet. That's obviously the bet that everyone's going to take. But you're saying you do believe Regis has a chance in this fight. By the way,
if you're giving me Regis to win by knockout at plus better than 1,000 odds, better than plus 1,000 odds, and in one instance, rounds 9 through 12 plus 1,800. If you're giving me that, like, yeah, I'm going to sprinkle $1 or $2 on that. Like,
Yeah.
it's something I'm going to take, because I can bank on Regis being able to figure some things out, catching him late, and being able to finish Devin Haney. I think that Regis Prograis can do that, but it's not something that's going to be very easy, because people have tried to do that to Devin Haney and they haven't yet, even though they've rocked him in the past.
Yeah, but no one's had Regis's power. Like,
No.
he hasn't fought a guy like Regis before, and Devin's moving up in the weight class. By the way, guys, we are going to have a post-fight live show. So make sure to rock with us after the final bell, after the interviews. You can rock with us, and we'll be breaking down the entire fight, taking your comments. So make sure to join us after Devin Haney and Regis Prograis. Bryan, before we get up out of here, should this really be pay-per-view? I believe so, but I'm like a boxing nerd, so I'm excited for this fight. Do you believe people will buy this fight, Bryan?
No, it shouldn't be pay-per-view. I think there are like 5 or 6 dudes that should be on pay-per-view. And respectfully, love both of these guys in the ring. I don't think, because especially on the DAZN pay-per-view, no disrespect, but like, how many people are going to actually buy this card that are casual boxing fans? Diehard boxing fans, you'll get like, I don't know, 50,000 of them. The David Benavidez fight with Demetrius Andrade didn't do shit. Did you hear about those pay-per-view buys?
Yeah, really bad.
Like, we got to stop putting dudes on pay-per-view that aren't pay-per-view fighters. Like, let's be real about it. Like, a lot of this should be on TV.
Yeah.
Put it on TV, and that's fine. Put it on TV, because it'll be better for the sport. Stop putting everything on pay-per-view. Motherfuckers are not going to pay $49.99, $79.99 for these fights. They're going to keep pirating it, go into these sites, watching it, and then people are going to be like, hey, how come this only did X amount of buys? Like, yo, the fucking economy is all fucked up right now. You want to fucking make people buy pay-per-view? Fuck that. That's grocery money.
It's true. Groceries are expensive.
Yeah.
Nerd.
Thank you. Yeah. Fuck. Christmas gifts. Come on. It's the holiday season, bro. I'm like, come on, man.
Let's go back to IMPK 13.
Wait.
Let's not forget Loma landed the left several times. He did.
I wanted to go to Hustle Man, because we haven't gotten to Hustle Man yet. He says 8-4, 9-3 Haney or Prograis KO 8-12. That's basically where I'm at. Basically the same thing. Although I would say 9 through 12, or he said 8 through 10. My bad. I would say 9 through 12, 7 through 12, but same difference.
I would say 10 through 12. I think if it happens, it's definitely going to happen in those championship rounds. And I do believe if Devin Haney makes it a Devin Haney fight, that's going to go the distance. We'll get to more of your comments. Wait, IMPK, what were you saying about this IMPK 13? Sounds like you could bet the over, Bryan.
Yeah, the problem with that IMPK is that the over-under is 10.5 rounds and the over is like minus 600. So it's just, I honestly think this is one of those fights you can make the over-under 11.5, but they're not going to do that. They don't feel the need to do that, and it is what it is.
All right. Well, thank you so much for rocking with us, guys. Do we have any more comments? Do you want to leave any last comments before we get up and out of here?
If someone has a good one to send us home. But yeah, we'll remind you that post-fight live show is happening. God, what a month. There's Jake Paul next week, and we also have Bam Rodriguez.
That's going to be a great fight. I'm working that fight, so we're not doing a post-fight live show.
Yeah,
but that is going to be
need a break. Honestly, because like work's been crazy, but also we're doing 2 lives the week after, because before Christmas and after Christmas, you got the heavyweights, Anthony Joshua, Deontay Wilder, who are not fighting each other, but on the same card. Also, Dimitri Bivol snuck in there, and he's going to be fighting. Danny Dubois, Jarrell Miller, and then you also have Naoya Inoue the morning after Christmas, where a lot of people are going to be hungover, so this should be fun.
It is Boxing Day in Canada, though, so we'll be ready for that one. Anthony Beck, great show, guys. Anthony, thank you for joining us. And yes, I will hop on the podcast with you guys again soon. Anthony, a friend of the show. We're gonna get up and out of here, but we will see you Saturday night. So make sure to join us after the fight. Thank you so much for rocking with us. Follow us at TheMandatory TKO. Also, if you're watching this video on YouTube, hit that like and subscribe button. It helps the channel grow. And this will also be on the audio side if you missed anything, wherever you find your podcast. Thanks so much for rocking with us. We'll see you on Saturday. Bryan, I'll let you have the final words before we get up and out of here.
Donate to the channel. That's all I'm going to say.